Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
You are listening to the TrekRanks Podcast, a member of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. This is episode 4, featuring the top 5 comedy episodes. Welcome, Star Trek fans. Very happy you could join us today for a front row seat in Charnock's Comedy Cabaret for the latest edition of the TrekRanks Podcast. I am your host, Jim Moorhouse, and with me tonight, as always, is the outrageous Jeff Hulit, the founder of the Tricorder Transmissions Podcast Network. Jeff, how you doing tonight?
Great, Jim. Thanks again. This is always awesome to be here. Looking forward to this one.
All right, and joining us also, all the way from Space Station K7, is our friend Mike Cyrano Jones Rittenhouse of the band 5 Year Mission. Mike Rittenhouse, how are you, brother?
Thanks for having me on.
Well, I could not be happier to have our first 5 Year Mission guest on the show. So before we jump in here, let's talk a little bit about 5 Year Mission. What's if you guys don't know, 5 Year Mission is a great indie band who have been doing one song per episode of the original series, and they are awesome. They finished year 3 and Spock Brain. They have 4 albums out, plus the Trouble with Tribbles EP. And year 4 is coming up, right, Mike? You got an update for us?
Yeah, we've been working hard on it. Each week we get together at least one night, usually a few nights every week, and work on the songs and record. There's 16 songs, just like on all the other albums. And it goes from, the episodes are from A Private Little War through For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. And we have recorded at least something for the first 14 of those. A couple of them are really close to being done. And then we just have the last 2. We haven't recorded anything on those yet, but, we're about to get to those in the next week or 2.
And what do we think the timetable is for the year 4 release?
We're shooting for fall. There's a local convention that we do every year, Starbase Indie. Yep. And we released most of our albums at that convention. So we're shooting for that. We're going to try and have it ready for that. That'll be Thanksgiving weekend. So hopefully you guys will see year 4 done in November.
Awesome. Well, it cannot come out soon enough. Trust me. 5yearmission.net, everybody. Go check them out. You will not be disappointed. The way these songs actually add to the way someone like me who watches a lot of Star Trek appreciates these shows that we've seen over and over again. It's really awesome. And Mike is the founder of that band and all-around great guy. Okay, so before we get started, just a quick reset on General Order number 1 here at the TrekRanks Podcast, just in case this happens to be maybe the first time you're joining us. So Trek Ranks, what do? We rank Trek, which means we're doing a deep dive on one specific topic and hopefully going to find some new ways to think about either a few episodes or performances or story points, just something, maybe a different way to think about Trek and engage with other fans. That's what the show is all about. Just about having a fun discussion with Trek, and we use the rankings as the crutch to get us rolling. So, of course, the main driver for all of our discussions here at the Trek Ranks Podcast is
infinite diversity.
In infinite combinations.
I get the feeling the Vulcan Master is not a fan of comedy episodes. Even if he were to pick, let's say, Voyager's Real Life, which is definitely one of the saddest episodes ever, if he was to pick that as one of his top 5 comedy episodes, we would still live by our mantra, which is no wrong answers. Right, guys?
Got that right.
All right. So, one more point about the Trek Ranks. Again, we're not just compiling a definitive list here. We're just having fun talking about Trek. If we recorded this episode tomorrow, we'd probably have some different answers. So it's just a great way to connect with other fans. And I also like to always point out, listen, when we're talking about episodes, that's shorthand. We also include the films in that discussion. And we love the Kelvin timeline here at the TrekRanks Podcast. So it's all fair game, original series, straight through to Enterprise and the Kelvin timeline. We love it all. Let's get rolling now, Jeff. Maybe I think we'll head to our seats here to watch the holographic comedian kick off the episode. So can you please engage the neutrino beacon on our Class 3 probe so our listeners know exactly how they can find us?
Hailing frequencies are open.
All right, if you're looking to get a hold of us here at TrekRanks, we are on all the social media outlets. You can get us at TrekRanks on Twitter. You can also get us at Tricorder Show. That's the entire network. We're on Facebook.com/the Tricorder Transmissions. We also have our own website, the TricorderTransmissions.com. And I'll give a quick shout to our voicemail box here. And we'll also give a shout to the voicemail at the end of the show. The number is 609-512-LLAP if you want to phone in your Trek Ranks and have them on the show next week. And wanted to quickly let everyone know out there, if you are a Trek Ranks fan, which I'm assuming you all are, we have some new merchandise up on our Redbubble store. You can get yourself some Trek Ranks t-shirts and stickers and mugs and all sorts of stuff, and some stuff with our other shows, Shore Leave and the Tricorder Services Network, all have their own merchandise available. And I'll leave this as a little bit of a mystery. There's a new special item that just got put up. I won't tell anybody what it is yet. You'll have to go and check it out. And I am Warp Factor Jeff on Twitter if you're looking for me. Now back to you, Jim.
All right. And also, if you check us out at the Trek Ranks page at the TricorderTransmissions.com, we've got a running total of some of the statistics from previous episodes. So you can see what kind of love each series has been getting with different kind of fan feedback. I like that. Jeff put that together, and it's pretty cool. So, all right. So with that in mind, let me emphasize again that this show is definitely better when we hear from you. We love hearing your lists and reading your lists, and I know you want to send them in. So make that happen. We want to hear from you because opinions are like couches. Everyone has one, at least if you're Vulcan. All right. I am available at Enterprise Extra and at Trek Ranks on Twitter. So send me your list there. And Mike, would you like to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you? I know you're a big Facebook guy.
Yeah, I'm mostly use Facebook. Yeah, I'm just on Facebook as Mike Rittenhouse. I am on Twitter, though I don't use it that much. I mostly post on Twitter as the band, which is the number 5-year mission on Twitter. But my personal account on there, if anyone wants to bug me and try to get me into tweeting more, is _ Rittenhouse _ or just search for Classic Rittenhouse.
Classic Rittenhouse.
Awesome. I'm writing. Hold on, I'm writing a note. Bug Rittenhouse to make him tweet more. Let's make that happen.
Or if people tweeted me, I would tweet back, and it was
okay. I love that.
Doing it more. I just
tag you on everything. Okay, I think we're now finally being cleared to go on stage and test this holographic audience with our jokes. So let's get into the topic for this week's episode.
Diagnostic cycle will be complete in 20 seconds.
Top 5 comedy episodes. It doesn't get much simpler than that. And, Star Trek is all about being a format that allows itself to kind of morph into, different genres, mystery, action, adventure, horror, and of course, comedy. So many different ways to look at comedy. So, Jeff, I want to ask you first, and we'll talk to Mike as well. Without getting into, what's driving your picks this week, I'm curious, what's funny to you? What kind of comedians or movies are funny to you? What do you, or what's not funny, maybe?
That's all good questions. So comedy is actually my favorite genre of TV and movies. I gravitate towards comedy over just about everything else. I've been a big fan of stand-up since I was a little kid. I'm a huge Carlin fan, kind of like a prophet and philosopher to me at this point.
Rufus!
Yeah, man. Oh, and of course, yeah, and Bill and Ted. I also am a big fan of, I guess people call it like silly, dumb humor, stuff that's just intentionally goofy. Not a huge fan of in-your-face toilet humor. I like a little bit, but with a little bit of sophistication. Not none of the super crude comedy. So it's all the Trek comedy stuff works great for me, since there really isn't any super crude Trek comedy stuff. Monty Python, that kind of stuff is great. Douglas Adams, my favorite writer. So you got a little sci-fi comedy with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that kind of stuff. That's pretty much where I'm coming from.
How about you, Mike?
I'm very vanilla. I like stuff like 2.5 Men. No, I'm kidding. No,
Dude, that's funny. That's funny. Joe Piscopo would be so proud.
No, I like a lot of variety of stuff. I have a lot of free time because I own my own business, and so I sit here and watch TV all day, and so I watch a lot of stuff. I would say that I like my comedy to be a little more on the intelligent side.
Yeah.
In recent years, I've kind of gotten away from enjoying like the 3-camera sitcom live audience type shows. Like when I watch those now, I just can't seem to get into them. But I really like single camera.
Yeah, like a mockumentary style, like The Office type of thing.
I do like those kinds of shows, yes, very much. I also like shows like the Goldbergs and shows like that.
I've heard that's good.
It is. It's very good, especially for people our age who remember the 1980s. It's a really good show. I also love comedy, like classic comedy movies. Yeah. Like we just mentioned it, but Bill and Ted. That's a good comedy.
Oh, 80s comedies. Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pretty much the John Hughes type stuff. Comedy with a heart.
Sounds like we're all pretty much on the same page. I'm kind of the same with you, Jeff, in terms of like not a big fan of the poop jokes. I love the absurdist comedy a little bit, like Monty Python. Just stuff that's a kind of little bit of subtlety and I love Being There is one of my all-time favorite movies. I think it's hilarious. I love Ricky Gervais.
Oh, me too.
And I love George Carlin. So we're similar to that. Just need a little bit of smarts with my comedy. So, okay. Well, that gives us all a little bit of taste of where we're coming from. But I can't wait to hear now what tickles your guys' Trek funny bone.
I do not concur with your captain's decision.
She's following our Prime Directive.
Define Prime Directive.
Okay, time for tonight's Prime Directive, an important element of the show where everyone gives a little bit of their context on what drove their selection. So Jeff and Mike, what was the main driver for you guys in compiling your list? Was it maybe about the depth of maybe a full comedy episode, or was it maybe something where just one particularly funny scene or some great moment? Just curious. It was or maybe even like the campiness of Trek was something that helped you guide your picks. I'm curious, where were you guys looking at when you were making your picks?
It was really hard for me. I really struggled because there's a lot of episodes that have funny scenes in them, but they're not particularly funny episodes overall. But I started going down the list, and it took me 2 to 3 hours just to go through the list of all of the episodes and think about each one. And like, if I think that it's funny, how funny is it? And so I tried to narrow it down to episodes that are overall funny to me. I had a few in there that are funny, but unintentionally, but they ended up getting cut because my list was like 30 episodes long, and I just had to narrow it down.
Yeah, I'm the same. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, this was tough for me, just like it was tough for Mike. I wasn't sure how to approach how I wanted to pick the episodes, because there's so many different types of comedy that you can delve into in Star Trek. There's the intentional comedy, there's the unintentional comedy, there's episodes that are are they so bad that you laugh at them. I deliberately excluded those. So I didn't want it to be mean-spirited look at funny Star Trek. So I kind of swept those aside, and I kind of just went through the long list of episodes that I found some humor in, and I just kind of ranked them in order of which ones have the most laughs for me, and that's kind of how I went through 5 through 1. So 1 gives me the most laughs, and kind of down from there.
I love it. That's a great way to break it down. I was curious if any unintentional comedy selections
I got 1 in there.
Was gonna make the cut. All right, that's good.
I don't think that any of mine are unintentional. But I did have Operation Annihilate and Too Short a Season on the list.
Wow.
Well,
okay, no wrong answers.
For the same reason that Jeff said. Like I don't want it to be mean spirited, and also, I mean, there were a lot of funnier episodes in my opinion, so they got cut.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about what we do here, Jim, is we keep it positive. So I'm glad Mike to hear Mike went the same route. Didn't want to go negative with it.
We love Star Trek. It's if we ever poke fun at it, I mean it's in good fun because we love it.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with making fun, but this show is all about highlighting the reasons we love Trek.
Yes.
That's what the show is about and what it's always going to be about. So I will say, and I probably say this every week, but this was easily the single hardest list we've had to do yet. I got down to 10 and cutting the last 5. I mean, you said 2 or 3 hours. That's about what I was staring at my computer like, this is not possible. So, and I'm going to have a few extra secondary system selections just to rattle off a few. I feel like I'm curious what the stats are going to be, but I feel like from my end, TOS and Voyager were a little bit more prominent in my selections maybe than TNG and DS9, although they were there. And then Enterprise was kind of in the rear on comedy, which is surprising, but we'll see what the picks are. No spoilers here. Yeah. All right. So before we introduce third Rematicon to help us get through the order of things, just a quick reminder again on how we're going to break everything down tonight. First, we'll reveal the episode that we choose. Then we're each going to give our 5-word summary and a hashtag, which is our normal TrekRanks staple, just a fun, simple way to identify quickly with an episode. And then we'll talk a little bit about it, maybe highlight a couple of moments from the episode. So make sense, guys?
Yep. I hope it's okay. A couple of my 5-word summaries might not really tell you what the episode's about.
No, it doesn't have to be. It's about whatever makes you connect with the episode. The best thing about it is it tells me how you're thinking about it. So that's the beauty of it. All right, third Rematicon, you're up.
I am a Jem'Hadar. He is a Vorta. It is the order of things.
Okay, we're going to jump into the pick. So, Mike, we're starting right now with your number 5 pick. What do you got?
So, my number 5 pick, War, What's It Good For? Hashtag Okira. The episode, Looking for Parmak in All the Wrong Places.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic. That's a great pick. And I got to tell you, it wasn't on my long list. I can't believe I think I just forgot about this one. It's an awesome pick. Well, so what drove your pick there, Mike? What'd you like about it? The Cyrano de Bergerac angle, or?
Yeah, it's just an overall fun episode. I noticed like in Star Trek, by the time they got into the later seasons of Deep Space Nine, they got really good at having episodes that were just fun and didn't have a villain or some kind of problem to solve. They just, it's one of those episodes where the whole thing is just a good time, and it's Quark and Worf likes the girl that Quark's. It's a lot of fun.
I'm literally laughing because I'm starting to think about, and I've tweeted this before, that awesome where Quark's like filling time and he says like the kelp of my discontent, or when he's making up his speech, right? Did he say something like that? Oh, it's hilarious.
I claim the right of proclamation.
I've never heard of the right of proclamation.
It is a Ferengi custom. It has no place here. I beg to differ.
What do you need to do?
I must make a speech.
About what?
About you. To this end, my blade soars through the aquarium of my soul, seeking the kelp of discontent, which must be cut, so that the rocky bottom of love lie in waiting with fertile sand for the coming seed of Grilka's affection.
And then Worf is, he's controlling Quark from the other holo suite, and My hashtag was almost RC Quark.
That's good too. Nice. I love it.
Well, the episode also has the other thing that's really great in it is the O'Brien Kira story, where O'Brien and Kira are kind of
the little flirting,
developing a little flirting thing with each other, and then they don't realize it, and then when they realize it, it's super awkward.
Yeah, that's a pretty high on TrekRanks. I think it's in the top 50. I can't even believe I didn't think of it as a comedy. All right, Jeff, what do you got as your number 5 pick?
All right, my number 5 pick is my only unintentional comedy pick in this list, and my 5 words are: it's so serious, it's funny. Hashtag, this is going to give the episode away. Hashtag is Brain and Brain. What is Brain? It is TOS Season 3, Episode 6, Spock's Brain.
Should have seen that coming. I did not see that coming.
It almost made my list.
Yeah, it almost didn't make my list. This was one of the ones I was on the fence on, because I thought picking this as a funny episode was almost saying bad things about it, but I actually really like this episode. As bad as people say it is, it's the best unintentional comedy I think the original series has to offer. There's just so much great stuff in here. The scene where McCoy's reconnecting Spock's brain is both brilliant acting by DeForest Kelley and absolutely hysterical at the same time. It's Spock, when they're reconnecting the speech centers of his brain, and Spock's like, it's so great. I don't know how. There's got to be a huge blooper reel that got thrown away for that as they cracked up while they were trying to film that. So
it all began thousands of years ago when a glacial age reoccurred. You see, this underground complex was developed for the women. The men remained above, and a male-female schism took place. A fascinating cultural development of a kind which has...
it was wrong.
I shouldn't have done it.
What's that?
I should have never reconnected his mouth.
Well, we took the risk, Doctor.
As I was saying, a fascinating cultural development of a kind which hasn't been seen in ages. The last such occurrence took place on old Earth when the Romans were warring.
And you throw in Kara and the childlike underground dwellers and the strange peculiarities in the way they talk, and the goofy men on the surface, and it's so ridiculous. It's so hard to take it seriously.
The morgues and iMorgues.
Yeah, the morgues and iMorgues. Just it gets beaten up a lot by Trek fans, but
it
unfairly. I really think the episode is way better than it gets credit for.
Yeah, I agree.
It is not reputation bad like people say. There's no doubt. If you're listening to this show, I mean, these first 2 picks, I just love it. I can't believe, and again, I didn't think of Spock's brain. For some reason, it just didn't pop in my head. I was thinking more straight comedy. So,
and it's a great EP, by the way, by the 5-Year Mission guys.
5yearmission.net. Download it now, people. Yeah. Do it. It's fantastic.
10 whole songs.
Yeah, extended EP, long player.
All right, so my number 5 pick. We already had 1 Quark episode. We might as well get 2 and get it out of the way. The Magnificent Ferengi, which for me is number 25 at TrekRanks. I love the comedy. I love this episode. My 5 words and a hashtag is Kevon really hates the Ferengi. Hashtag Iggy Pop.
You've had this coming for a long time, cousin!
I hate Ferengi.
Everything about this episode I just love. It's funny kind of in a broad way. It's slapsticky, which is not usually my thing, but it's also really smart comedy. I love the way it connects one of my all-time favorite episodes, which is Rocks and Shoals. I love Kevon coming back and using him in this episode. The performances, you got, Jeffrey Combs and Aaron Eisenberg, all these guys are just killing it. What was that, Mike?
And then they also bring back Empok Nor.
Yes, I love. Wait, was this before? Yeah, no, yeah, right. This was after Empok Nor.
Yeah, it was after.
Yeah, and of course Iggy Pop. So, it's just incomparable in terms of the performances. And no, I I usually don't like Ferengi episodes as a general rule. So the fact that I love this one, it just, for me, it shows how great it is. And it doesn't hurt that I love The Magnificent Seven. It's one of my favorite films from my childhood. So definitely a hilarious episode.
Shortlister for me too.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's move to round 4 with Mike's round 4 pick. What do you got, Mike?
All right, my 5-word summary is he's my number one dad.
This is unintentional comedy. Sorry, man.
Hashtag pedomiles.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
The episode is Rascals. All right, what's funny about it, Mike?
I don't think it's unintentional. Most of the episode is very humorous. I mean, they're children, like
True.
Picard and Ro and Guinan and Keiko. They're all reduced to 12-year-olds, and it's just very funny. I love O'Brien being so uncomfortable with his wife being a 12-year-old.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great pick.
And Picard running in, calling Riker his daddy, and hugging him.
Yep.
It's awesome.
I don't know if they'll let me, Jean-Luc, but I will ask.
Thanks, number one. He's my number one dad.
You're right. This is a comedy episode. It's actually pretty funny, and it's actually the kid actors are actually pretty well done, which
they were a good choice.
Yeah, it can make or break it. I think for me, the reason I always kind of downgrade this episode has nothing to do with the kids or the setup. It's just the dumb Ferengi takeover of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
It's like in like 3 minutes they take over the whole ship, and it's like, wait, what? How did they do that? That's the Enterprise.
Ridiculous.
So that's where I just lost. That's what threw me, not the fact that 4 main characters were suddenly 12 years old. Listen, the fact that my number one dad is in this episode, along with Spock's brain, this couldn't be going any better. All right, Jeff,
pick.
what do you got? What's your number 4?
All right. So my 5 words are going to give this away, I think. 5 words are mustache Paris is no Riker. So hashtag is the doctor invented subtweeting. Look it up if you don't know what it means, because he totally did. So it's Voyager Season 7, Episode 20, Author.
Oh my goodness.
A great episode.
I love this episode. I love how easily all the characters in this episode lampoon themselves. They all ham it up so well. I love watching this one. Everyone does a great job. One of the things I love the most about this too is that the doctor renamed Paris after a different French city instead of just slightly altering his name like he did everybody else. He calls it Marseille. It's just perfect. so many nice touches in this one. And I gotta say, I love the ending where we find out that the doctor's holo novel has made it out into the holographic world, and it's a scandalous thing that they're all reading. It's spectacular.
This is amazing. And there's no wrong answers. And if you have ever looked at TrekRanks, I'm bringing the show to a screeching halt. Author is my dead last least favorite Voyager episode.
Nice.
The holographic stuff is hilarious. I
great.
love that stuff. But the smarmy literary agent, here's what I always say. If there's a smarmy literary agent in the 24th century, we're not going to have warp drive. So that whole premise, and just the doctor is so mean-spirited.
I know.
Like I can't laugh because it's so nasty. It's just so vile, and the way he destroys the reputation of every single person on the ship back on Earth. First thing Voyager has to do when they get to Earth is have a press conference.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to say, hey, hold on a second. Hold on. We're heroes. I'm not this freaking terrible human being that the doctor said I was. Oh, that episode drives me crazy. But the holodeck stuff is hilarious.
It's great.
I have to say that is one of the episodes that was on my longer list that I had ended up cutting. I agree with Jeff that that's one of the funniest episodes.
Nice.
That is fantastic because I love that I don't get to have my way on this show. I love that. All right, my number 4 pick, also a Voyager episode. Nice. And the amazing thing about this episode for me is that it's also one of the most critical episodes in terms of story arc and just overall importance in Voyager. It's got a huge emotional punch at the end, yet it's hilarious. And again, some real broad comedy. My number 4 pick is Message in a Bottle, which is number 8, top 10 episode at TrekRanks. My 5 words and a hashtag, amazing comedy with impactful gravitas, hashtag no longer alone. And I just love some of the choices here. I mean, Andy Dick as a EMH you think would never work, but somehow you think it'd be like too sly and maybe too farcical, but he just kills it. The performance is awesome. And of course, Robert Picardo kills it. And it's got one of my favorite exchanges ever where they're panicked on the bridge and I think the doctor says, "Stop breathing down my neck." And Andy Dick says, "My breathing's merely a simulation. So is my neck. Stop it anyway." There's a lot of real funny wordplay in this episode. I love these two guys. So
yeah, that one was really close to being my number 5.
Yep. All right. I mean, and no duplicates yet. I love this.
I'm amazed.
Yeah, we didn't say this before, but I am confident we're going to have some duplicates and maybe even a TrekRanks first, with our first ever 3-way pick.
Yeah, I would bet money that's going to happen. I'll be surprised if it doesn't.
I got to think that's the same. All right. Number 3. What's your number 3 pick, Mr. Rittenhouse?
All right. Number 3. The odds are astronomical. Hashtag Fizbin.
Nice one.
Yes.
A piece of the action.
A piece of the action.
Yeah, what
else can you say? Fizbin. I mean, that's seen enough. That's seen enough is to get it in.
One of the few original series episodes that's intentionally funny.
Yep.
They obviously were trying to make a comedy.
Yeah, it's solid. There's really no doubt. I think we're going to be talking about this episode again.
Plus a stellar performance from Vic Tayback.
Oh, big time.
Oh my God, he's so great. He's so great in it. I love everything about it. I mean, one of my favorite moments is when Kirk, I think they had just taken over like Krako's office, and Kirk's like, "We're taking over, right? Check." And Spock's like, "Right." Slowly puts his feet up on the desk. I love that moment. That whole episode is absolutely perfection in terms of the comedy not getting in the way of the storytelling of the gravitas of Trek. I love it. Yep. Jeff, what's your
once he starts getting into the character and using the lingo towards the end, it's awesome. I love when he's talking to Scotty and Scotty keeps asking him, "What?"
Yeah, that's right. He's like using the lingo.
I love when Kirk's talking and his eyes get real big. Like I about fall out of my seat every time that scene comes on.
Yeah, it is. It's comedy genius to say the least.
Totally.
All right, Jeff, what's your number 3?
All right, 5 words. I want to play Fizbin. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's not my number 3 pick. My number 3 pick, 5 words, time travel fun for everyone. Hashtag Cisco sees dead people. Get it? Get it?
Oh.
Get it? Because everybody they go back and see, they're all dead by the time they get back to real life. Anyway, DS9, Season 5, Episode 6, Trials and Tribulations.
I do get it. I love it.
All right. Yeah. Somebody got it.
It's sad, though. They're not really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're all dead anyway. But anyway, so this is actually really a double pick because you can't include this episode without also including the episode it's based on. So it's you're kind of picking Trouble with Tribbles as well, along with Trials and Tribulations. But I think this is a template on how to make a funny episode of Trek even more funny than it already is. There's so many little nice touches that they added. Cisco tapping on his Delta shield, thinking it's going to be a communicator. Kirk checking out Dax on the bridge. Worf being asked to explain the difference in the appearance of the Klingons and not wanting to talk about it. Great stuff. Awkward situation. Just one great scene after another. And the ending with the Tribble sitting on Quark's head. Spectacular stuff. I got another one we could probably go on forever about and talk, but this was an absolute great episode. A lot of good laughs and very well executed.
Yes, definitely.
It's the way they integrate this into an all-time classic episode. I mean, for me, it was already brilliant, but the end when they explain the last few Tribbles dropping out of the out of the storage container because Dax is up there throwing him down the thing. That is just
that's awesome. I also love that they get the original actor to play Arn Darvin.
Yes.
Oh yeah, of course, amazing.
Brilliant.
And because he's Klingon, the age is perfect. Like it just works out perfect.
Yeah, extremely well done. All right, well, my number 3 is a piece of the action.
Oh,
exactly. So we are on the same page. And as much as at some point I was like, I know someone else is going to pick this, but I still just could not leave it off the list, even though I was thinking I might just to sneak in another episode. But for my 5 words and a hashtag, Shatner, Nimoy, chew the scenery, hashtag, except on Tuesday. So we just talked about it, but for me, this is a perfect comedy episode. They just hit on literally everything. There's the Fizbin scene for me is comedy gold. I mean, Shatner's performance, what Mike just said about when he's calling back to the Enterprise and he's trying to use the lingo and Scotty's not following. So many good moments.
Another episode that has an excellent kid actor in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that kid's.
Yeah.
He's only in like the one scene, but he did a great job.
Yeah, he was awesome. No one's going to put the bag on me anymore. I love when Kirk says that. A great episode all the way around.
Nobody's going to put the bag on me anymore.
All right, let's go to round 2. The final number two pick for Mike Rittenhouse. What do you got, buddy?
Never trust Cousin Gala. Hashtag no one warned Earth.
Yes. This was on my short list. Sorry, I cut you off. Little Green Men, right?
Little Green Men. Yeah, that's a great episode. I love that they make the whole Roswell crash Ferengis, and they, it just has so many little nods to the whole Roswell thing in it. But I mean, the 3 of them are just so hilarious through that entire episode. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. No, I was gonna say where they're making noises and trying to tug their noses and their ears and trying to communicate. It's so good.
He's like, these humans are morons.
They're dumber than I even thought. We're gonna make a fortune. And one of my favorite moments from that episode, which is kind of funny and I've always a big surprise when Odo shows up as the German Shepherd. I freaking love that.
Yeah,
it's extremely well done. And I love
that's completely unexpected. The first time you watch it, you're surprised that Odo's there.
Total surprise. And they have the Gabriel Bell reference in there where Nog's looking at the thing.
Does this human look just like Captain? All humans look the same.
Excellent impersonation. All right, Jeff, what's your number 2?
Oh man, Jim, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. Hashtag put the bag on us. You got our first trifecta. 5 words. I want to play Fizbin. It's got piece of the action again. So it's my number 2 pick. What can we say that we haven't already said though? I don't think I could have possibly excluded this one from the list. But one thing I will throw out there, because neither one of you brought this up in your reasons for picking it. I love the scene where Kirk and Spock are in the car. And Kirk's trying to start the car, and Spock's got to tell him how to start the car and push the clutch. And it's so good. So good.
You are an excellent starship captain. But as a taxi driver, you have a lot to be desired.
Exactly. It's brilliant comedy episode. Can't say enough good stuff about it. Vic Tay back again, as Mike said. Spectacular. I love Shatner hams it up. This was actually a tough pick for me because I didn't want to duplicate a pick that I picked in our top 3 Captain Kirk episodes. So I did pick this one for that too, but I couldn't leave this off in good conscience.
Yeah, that's right. No, you same as me. I almost left it off, but could not do it. Couldn't cheat. All right, my number 2 pick before we get to the final round. And there were a few times when I was going through where I tried to cut this episode off the list a few times. Maybe put another Voyager episode because I had a bunch from Voyager that I thought were in the mix. Some that I'll probably mention in the secondary system section coming up. But I couldn't keep it off the list, even though it's also a bit of a holodeck episode. It is number 2 for me, Bride of Chaotica.
Nice.
Top 20 episode at Trek Ranks.
Shortlister for me.
Yeah,
Yep, that was on my short list.
5 words and a hashtag is best Trek holodeck episode ever. Hashtag quite possibly, but that's a show for another day. I think maybe we'll have to do top 5 holodeck episodes somewhere. But it's on my top comedy episodes list. I think it's just perfect. It really somehow just capitalized on everyone's strengths in this, the way the characters all interact, and then there's this great payoff from the whole Captain Proton holo program, the whole season. I love Satan's Robot, love Constance Goodhart. Yeah. Just it was an ingenious addition to Voyager, and it's got one of my favorite subtle lines in the history of Trek. And if you don't think it's funny, then we don't share the same sense of humor, because it's the scene in the briefing room where Paris and Kim, everyone's kind of debriefing the crew and explaining the situation to Janeway. And she says she's trying to understand it. She's like, so there's an armed conflict between the aliens and Chaotica's holograph army? And Paris just straight deadpan, yes, ma'am, his army of evil.
Let me get this straight. Transdimensional aliens have mistaken your Captain Proton simulation for reality.
Yes, ma'am.
And now an armed conflict has broken out between these aliens and Chaotica's holographic army.
Yes, ma'am. His army of evil.
Absolutely super subtle, super genius. And yeah, I love this episode. One of my favorites for sure.
It is a really fun episode.
Great pick.
It was definitely on my short list. I love Janeway's performance as Arachna.
Absolutely. Steals it for me, actually.
Yeah, when Paris says, if you can't get to the death ray, you can use your pheromones. He's like, I beg your pardon. Such a funny episode. So many. And there's a Tuvok line too, where they're talking about the death ray, and Tuvok says, it's a shame we don't have one. Nonstop. I love that episode. All right, let's get to the final picks. Number ones across the board. Let's see if we got some duplicates.
We might.
Mike, what do you got? Number 1.
All right, for my number 1, I actually have 2 5-word descriptions. The first one is, may I help you, gentlemen? And the second one is, truer words have never been spoken. Hashtag RC Kevin. The episode, which was your pick for number 5, Jim, Magnificent Ferengi.
Nice.
Awesome. I just got it. RC Kevon.
Yeah.
That's Remote Control Kevon for non-5-year mission fans, because they have an awesome song called Remote Control Spock that everyone should download and listen to. Actually, it's not called Remote Control. It's called RC Spock. So RC Kevon is a great hashtag. Great job, Mike. All right, so we already talked about it. But what made it your number 1 choice?
It's a fantastic episode. I mean, we already said plenty about it, but I love Kevon's performance when Quark says he doesn't care about all that, and then Kevon says truer words have never been spoken. Like I have to pause it because I'm laughing so hard at his performance. He's so good. Just Iggy Pop and all of it. It's just a great episode. Just like all of the Ferengi, like as they keep adding them, and they all keep bickering, and it's so fun.
Yeah, the guy who just wants to stab everybody, and Jeffrey Combs, Brunt is great, and yeah, Christopher Shea is the actor that plays Kevon, and he is awesome. So good.
What's interesting with this episode, aside from the comedy aspect. The first time I watched through Deep Space Nine years ago, I didn't realize that Jeffrey Combs played Brunt and Wei-Yun. And so
that's awesome.
When I was watching the episode, I'm like, why don't they have Wei-Yun as the as the Vorta? Like, I was so like, could they just not get that actor for this episode or what? Like, I was completely clueless to the fact that it was the same guy, because he's such a good actor.
Oh, that is hilarious. He's amazing as Brunt. I mean, it's easy if you would not pick up on them being the same person if you didn't know it.
No, it was like the end of the series. I had watched the whole series. I think it was at the end of the last season when I realized that it was the same guy doing both parts. And that blew my mind. And I realized all the other things that he played.
Yeah, and one last shout out to Magnificent Ferengi. The scene where they think they're kind of got everything figured out and solved, and then they shoot Keybon. Just absolutely laugh out loud funny that he just drops dead in front of him.
Because they're fighting over the latinum.
Well, right. Yeah, of course. That's what it was. Oh, so good. All right, Jeff. What's your number one comedy special?
Man, can I just say that I am absolutely shocked that nobody picked this yet, and I'm actually really happy that nobody picked this yet. I'm jumping out of my skin because I thought somebody was going to beat me to this one. But let me clear my throat so I can do my really bad Scottish accent for my 5 words.
Yes, I know where you're going.
Admiral, there'll be laughs here. It was terrible, dude. 2 hashtags, colorful metaphors rule, and hashtag double dumbass on you. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home.
Fantastic.
How can nobody have picked this? It is hysterical. So many great laughs. Yeah, this Trek film is just so beloved, and the intentional humor in this movie, I think, really puts it in the upper echelon of Trek films. So many great one-liners. They crack me up every time. Kirk just offhandedly saying, "Everybody remember where we parked," as they walk away from the stealth ship and park. I mean, come on. Of course, the bus scene. The bus scene is spectacular. Yep. Everyone references the bus scene. Chekhov's nuclear vessels. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So it's a great. I love this movie for that reason, and it's clearly easily my number one favorite comedic Trek.
And this was one of my very, very last cuts. I wanted to include it so bad, but
I'm the only one that picked it.
Right, I'm so glad you picked it because we get to talk about it. By the way, my favorite funny scene from this is when they're in the cab talking about whether they like Italian. Yes, no, yes. No. He loves Italian.
And can we mention, Jim, that your cosplay is from this movie?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, my really easy, dumb cosplay is Dr. Nichols, transparent aluminum from the Voyage Home. I bought a cardigan and some fake glasses, and it's perfect.
Great.
I was going to say that it was also on my short list. It was one of the ones that I had to cut. I love that movie. It's definitely my top movie out of all of the first 6 movies. It is the best one, in my opinion.
It is the number 1 ranked Star Trek film at TrekRanks.com out of all 13. I love The Voyage Home. I love the message. I love the comedy. It's the perfect culmination of those first 4 episodes, and I'm fired up you picked it. So, and I'm going to say for my number 1 pick, I can't believe nobody picked this, although, Jeff, you kind of picked it because you picked Trials and Tribulations, and I'm going with the classic, the original, The Trouble with Tribbles as my number 1 all-time comedy episode for Trek. My 5 words in a hashtag is timeless tribbles never get old. Hashtag the what? Which is definitely one of my favorite Kirk moments when they're talking about Quadro Triticale. The what?
He is so pissed off at that guy.
He's so good. So for me, I mean, this had to be my number 1. It was the only easy one for me. That it was kind of the first one I came up with, and I was thinking, maybe try to go for a deeper cut, but I just couldn't do it. So for me, it's just completely timeless. There's not one false step in the whole episode, and every single scene is just believable and weighty and funny, and there's a farce, and there's, just one brilliant spit take after another. I love when Kirk's dressing down the men and Scotty's, and that's when you hit him. No, sir, I would never hit him for that. Just because he insulted you. I mean, there's so many great moments.
Well, Captain, Klingons call you a tin-plated, overbearing, swaggering dictator with delusions of godhood.
Is that all?
No, sir. They also compared you with that Danubian slime devil.
I see.
And then they said that you were...
I get the picture, Scotty.
Yes, sir.
And after they said all this, that's when you hit the Klingons.
No, sir.
No?
No, I didn't. You told us to avoid trouble.
Oh, yes.
And I didn't see that it was worth fighting about. After all, we're big enough to take a few insults. Aren't we?
What was it they said that started the fight?
They called the Enterprise a garbage scow. Sir.
I wasn't aware that 12 Klingons counts as a swarm.
Constitutes a swarm.
Yeah,
Constitute, right. Yeah, for me, this is definitely one of my most rewatchable episodes. It's number 6 at Trek Ranks, and it's just nonstop hilarity. Love Cyrano Jones. Love this.
Great pick.
I am surprised, Mike, that no Tribbles made your list. Your list is awesome, though.
Well, the Tribbles was so close to being on my list. I struggled with it. It was also
it was so hard.
But both Tribble episodes, they Trials and the original were both right up there. I wanted to use one of them, but I wasn't trying to base my list on what I thought other people might pick, but I knew that they would probably be mentioned anyway, so I kind of went ahead and let it slide down a little bit. But it's definitely up there for me. I mean, out of the original series, I mean, it's one of, I mean, if, there's a piece of the action and Tribbles. Those are like the top 2 comedy episodes of the original series.
Yeah, for sure. So were there any secondary systems picks for you, Mike, that you want to talk about this really quick and highlight that were cut from your list?
Well, I mean, I've mentioned a few of them already. Tribbles, Message in a Bottle, those were all. Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite was another one that I wanted to mention. That's a really great episode. Bar Association.
Oh, yeah.
Rules of Acquisition.
Yep.
Ooh, Ferengi episodes.
This is what's funny. Like when
going big with Ferengi.
I didn't expect that. When I started going through, I thought, I'll probably find mostly original series because everything from Next Gen on is so serious. There's like only a few comedy episodes, and I thought for sure I wouldn't find hardly anything in Deep Space Nine. But then I get into it and I'm like, that episode's great, and that episode's great, and like the next thing I knew, I had like 15 episodes from Deep Space Nine. And they were all Ferengi episodes. I love Ferengis, but like I never thought that they would be like all on my top list.
How about you, Jeff? What was on your secondary systems list?
I had iMud. Almost made the cut for me. That always cracks me up. Of course, the original Trouble Tribbles, your number 1, was on there, but since I picked Trials and Tribulations, that was kind of a double pick. And I had a couple on here that didn't make the cut because I kind of find them funny because they're really bad episodes of Trek, and I just didn't want to go negative, like TNG's Code of Honor, which is a horrible episode, but you feel bad laughing at it because it's really...
I considered Code of Honor.
Yeah, and I had Voyager Heroes and Demons. It just doesn't age well. The costumes look kind of cheesy now. I
love that episode.
Watch it seriously. It cracks me up though.
No,
so
it is.
Silly.
It is campy for a Voyager episode.
Super silly.
Is it Angel 1, the one that has the blonde people where Wesley gets into trouble?
Oh no, that's Justice.
Justice, yeah.
Justice, that's it. Yeah,
that was one of my previous picks.
I consider
that's right.
Too.
Yeah. Prime Directive
episodes, yeah.
All right, on I had one that it was the hardest one for me to cut was Tinker Tenor Dr. Spy.
I had that on my list too. Yeah,
from Voyager. That opening scene with the when he sings, "You have just gone without for 7 years about." So good. And then Hollow Pursuits was another one because it has quite possibly the funniest moment in the history of Trek when Picard calls Lieutenant Barclay Lieutenant Broccoli. Absolutely hilarious. All right, I didn't want to. In terms of the unintentional comedy episodes, I don't think we can end this discussion without having somebody mention Alan Moraine, "Move Along Home." So that was on my long list of I might just no. It was an early cut. So all right,
I'll tell you, there's very few Star Trek episodes in any series that I will skip over if I'm doing a rewatch, and "Move Along Home." That's usually
not one of them. Okay. I don't know. I find it kind of endearing because it feels like a campy TOS episode. Profit and Lace is the one that I always skip over.
Oh, that's a tough one.
That one's rough.
Hashtag sexy Quark, man. Come on.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, I was hoping that an episode about the top 5 comedy episodes for Star Trek would be pretty hilarious, and I think it was. All right. Time to catch our breath and step into the regeneration cycle.
Computer, activate regeneration cycle. Alcoves beta and gamma.
All right, regeneration cycle time. Just a quick recap of the picks. So, Mike, take us through your 5 picks really quick here so we got a summary.
All right, so my 5 picks. Number 5, Looking for Parmok in All the Wrong Places. Number 4 was Rascals. Number 3 is A Piece of the Action. Number 2, Little Green Men. And number 1 is The Magnificent Ferengi.
Fantastic list. And I just did some quick stats here, Jeff, before we go through yours. We've got TOS leading the way with 6 choices. DS9 surprises me, had 5 right behind. And then Voyager with 3, TNG with 1, and Enterprise gets the goose egg. They didn't have a ton of comedy episodes. All right, Jeff, what were your 5? Run them through.
All right, number 5, TOS Season 3, Episode 6, Spock's Brain. Number 4, Voyager, Season 7, Episode 20, Author. Number 3...
Hashtag no wrong answers. No. Number 3.
Number 3, DS9, Season 5, Episode 6, Trials and Tribulations. Number 2, TOS, Season 2, Episode 20, A Piece of the Action, giving us our first TrekRanks trifecta. So something to aspire to. And number 1 is the 4th Star Trek film, The Voyage Home.
Love that number 1 pick. All right, my 5 were The Magnificent Ferengi, also on Mike's list. Message in a Bottle from Voyager. Piece of the Action on all 3 of our lists was number 3. Number 2 was Bride of Chaotica, and my number 1 from TOS, the classic, the original, The Trouble with Tribbles. All right, after all that, we aren't quite done yet because once again, we've encountered a temporal causality loop. So before we can depart, it's time to hear from you.
The Enterprise has been caught up in a temporal causality loop, and I suspect that something similar may have happened to you.
All right, thanks, John Luke. We're going to have no trouble navigating our way out of this week's temporal loop. Holy crap, we got a ton of feedback, right, Jeff? From the last episode, the top 5 recurring DS9 characters list. We just got an amazing amount of feedback.
Twitter was crazy with that one.
On Twitter, yeah. There was a couple dozen lists coming through. And I actually did some math. Oh, well, that's right, because we're going to put it on the on our database there on the website that there was 28 different characters mentioned in 24 lists that came through. The top vote getter was Garrick with 13, as expected. And the second most votes went to Wayoon and Martok with 8 each. And Gul Dukat had 7 and Nog had 6. And by the way, keep these lists coming. There's no statute of limitations. So if you just listen to that episode and want to chime in on Twitter, send us your feedback. We want to keep getting those lists. So, all right. The first list I want to highlight is from the guys at the 10 Backward podcast. And that's a fun listen. You can reach Rick, Richard, and Will at 10 Backward on Twitter. And their list was number 5, Grilka. Number 4, Rom. Number 3, Luther Sloan. Number 2, General Martok. And number 1, Garrick. He was number one on a lot of lists. But I love this list because, and Mike, you'll like this, because Grilka is on it.
Yeah.
And I've got a huge crush on Grilka. So she's awesome. And that's pretty much the only reason I'm reading this list, because Grilka's on there. And I love her. And she was obviously featured in Looking for Parmok in all the wrong places on Mike's list.
Yep.
All right. The other main list I want to highlight quickly was from Bill Mann over at Trek Live and at TrekFan4387. If you aren't following Bill on Twitter, you definitely need to do that. He definitely had to include his list because he included the not only the characters but also the character defining episodes for his totals. And his number 5 was Damar with the episode Strange Bedfellows. Number 4 was Wayoon, Treachery, Faith, and the Great River, which was mentioned. That episode was mentioned in twice on our podcast as well. Gold Ducat with Defiant. Nog, It's Only a Paper Moon, a classic Nog episode. And his number 1, also Garrick with The Wire. So that should be more than enough, I think, to get us out of this temporal loop this week. So just want to thank everyone again for all the great responses for our first few episodes. Keep the list coming to me at TrekRanks or at Enterprise Extra so we can add them to our database numbers and can retweet them to everybody. So, and also, we want to hear from you as well. So we said this earlier. So listen, put together your top 5 comedy episodes or any list that you have and give us a call at our Tricorder Transmissions phone number at 609-512-5527, 609-512-LLAP. And I know if you've made it this far, you've got opinions and you want to tell us what your top 5 comedy episodes are. So give us a call. We'd love to hear from you and play it on the next episode. So, and speaking of the next episode, Jeff, we're going to have Bill Mann, who I mentioned before over at Trek Live. He's going to join us on our next step. Yeah, he's we're going to feature a topic that I've been looking forward to. It's a little bit at the core of what Trek Ranks is all about, and that is our top 5 introductory Star Trek episodes. So it's going to be the 5 episodes that you would show someone who's never seen Star Trek. So to get them on board, it's tough. 700 hours.
Really tough.
That is hard.
I think I already have my number 1 though.
Okay, interesting. I've been thinking about it and I haven't gone that far yet. I did have like one thing jumped into my head, and I think it would be a surprising number 1, but we'll see if we go there. So in addition to Bill, we're also going to have my good friend Gerardo Yanis, who's a friend of mine that connected with on Twitter a few years ago. And he was introduced to Trek via the 2012 Kelvin timeline film, Star Trek Into Darkness. And I love this about this guy. He's a young guy. He immediately immersed himself in Trek, and he's seen it all now. He's an expert. He knows all 700 hours really, really well. Mm-hmm. So I think he's going to bring a cool perspective into what episodes would be interesting for people to introduce someone to Trek. So we're going to have Gerardo and Bill on. It should be awesome. All right. So before we wrap it up here, huge thanks to the amazing Mike Rittenhouse of the awesome band 5 Year Mission. Again, 5yearmission.net. I implore you, trust me, you will not regret it. Get on there, download these tunes, listen on their website. They're right there. You will love these songs. Go listen to Shore Leave right now. Not the podcast. Listen to the podcast too on TricorderTransmissions.net. But the song Shore Leave that Mike Rittenhouse wrote is a masterpiece. It will make you stand up and love that episode even more than you already do. So
I do like that out of the Trek Ranks, the 5 Year Mission songs that Jim chose, that majority of them are Mike Rittenhouse songs. So
yeah, that's you don't need to pat yourself on the back. So also at TrekRanks.com you can find the 5 Year Mission top 10 songs, a breakdown that I did just to help promote the band because they deserve it. And there are quite a few Mike Rittenhouse songs in the top 10, including Shore Leave, including Cat's Paw, and the number 1 5 Year Mission song of all time, Air to Mercy, which is amazing. So All right. I think we're wrapping it up here. So thanks for engaging with us, everyone, again for episode 4 of the TrekRanks Podcast. As always, I just want to close by saying I'm looking forward to standing with you again here in this place where I belong.
Hi there, thanks again for listening. If you're cruising the galaxy looking for even more Trek talk, why not visit our good friends Bill and Dan over at TrekGeeks.com? They've got a great podcast that covers a wide range of Star Trek topics, so you're sure to find something you'll love. And if you're in the mood for some awesome tunes, then you really need to head over to 5yearmission.net. The guys are writing a song for every episode of the original series, and each one is absolutely brilliant. So that's TrekGeeks.com and 5yearmission.net. Check them out today.